morning.
Good morning, good morning. Oh my gosh, it is morning, isn't it? How'd we get here?
It is. Earlier you were running a little bit behind and I didn't want to text you because I figured you were talking to a client. It was so perfect because I was thinking this cannot be happening. Right at 9:59, directly out my window. They haven't done lawn care in years. Or you know what I mean? Like out of nowhere, right? So then I thought, oh great, that'll give them time to get away from my window.
Exactly.
It
They
was
can move on a little bit. That's
gosh,
too funny. Yeah, worked out well. Yeah, I was with the client.
as they start circling back. No, it'll be what
Yeah,
it is.
exactly.
So today we're doing something a little bit special. The last two episodes we posted were sort of a time capsule experience that I think a lot of people have liked. We had some comments and just some personal messages privately that were just so cool. And since
Good.
then,
Good.
I've probably had 4 or 5 personal readings from you, but I didn't record them and I should have. I don't even know why I didn't. I think I felt weird because you were my teacher at the time. Maybe I felt like it was intrusive, which now that we do this, we invite that all the time.
Absolutely.
And people get so
Absolutely.
nervous to ask me or you. I remember feeling that nervousness.
Yes. And I always forget to say, hey, you can record. But absolutely, anytime you get out there and you have a reading, you should be able to record it. If they tell you that you can't, question that.
Yeah. Well, and if I remember correctly, I don't think I asked permission to record those. I didn't, again, the nervousness, I didn't know if it was okay or not, but I want my way. So that's why in the video, there's no video because I think I had my phone or my laptop with you and my phone down. So, there was no video of any kind. But now we're asking and we're doing video. Oh, it's
We're
just been
doing it.
crazy since 5 years.
I love it.
But we are going to do a final sort of reading to cap off that 3. And because I personally have some curiosities as well. So thank you so much for indulging me.
You're very welcome. You scared me when you said our final reading. Oh no.
Oh, no, no, no. Just with, no, no, no. Just with this series and the
I gotcha.
podcast.
I'm just teasing you.
Lord have mercy. And bye. No. And scene.
I love it. Everyone see my maps? See, I've got my maps finally up
I love
instead of the
it.
corkboard behind me sitting on my desk. So that's a good thing.
Yes.
Kind of
Well, and
cool.
you described, I forgot to say, you described in the first reading that we posted, but I would, for the listeners that are brand new or that didn't catch that episode 45, but,
Yes.
but you always kind of start with clarity of how this process works. And I think that's always really helpful.
Good. All right. Well, let's hit the ground running, right? Shall we? Good. Well, first and foremost, I want you to feel comfortable asking anything you need to. This is about you. This isn't about me. This is about getting the information to you. So if there's something that you are needing clarity on, don't feel shy. Jump in. If we've talked about something and that's redundant, I do not remember my readings. I do not remember what we've said. I try not to just regurgitate. Again, I don't have that kind of memory system to do that anyway. So sometimes the guides do. Sometimes the guides will go, did you do this? Do you remember this? And so we let them have at it. Again, this is going to be hopefully helpful to you. The guides are always very kind. They're going to be straightforward, but they're going to be kind in their presentation of it. So let's make it happen, shall we?
I love it. And no joke, I had to mute the microphone on my side because right as you started talking, they were literally banging on my railing. So, Murphy's Law.
Murphy's Law. Yep. I love it. That's
And I
funny.
am going to say this, we have a very unedited relationship with this podcast, but I will just say for the listeners, if there's large jump cuts, I am reserving the right to cut anything because I'm going to be asking very real questions. I didn't edit the previous videos because all of that data information and vibe of it all was so old compared to now. So
Makes sense.
with that being said, I have an awkward question for me, and maybe this leaves in, I'm not sure, but I am wondering about how or what. I have a suspicion that my relationship with weed is not great. And I am trying to see a path forward to where I can include it in my life to where it helps me sleep very well. But, what is its effect on me if it is negative, or is that just in my head?
Okay, that's an excellent question, and I will tell you for the listeners, it is difficult to read someone that you love, that's in your family, and I consider Sterling to be in my family, so I have to step a little further out. So I'm stepping further out. So my guide, Brutus, is going to handle these questions as I kind of be the observer here. It does take a little bit more of that spiritual connection in order for me not to jump in and go, "Oh my gosh, well, dear, what's going on? What's happening?" But I'm not here to
I
do
love
that.
you.
Okay, I'm not here to do that. I'm here to give her advice from the spirit side. So let's examine that. It feels to me like it is a bit of a problem. I'm feeling that what's happening is it's becoming an anxiety instead of a release. So as you're doing it, you're starting to feel almost like guilt towards it. So it's kind of canceling out any positive, beautiful effects it would have to help you to cope, to help you to, find that peaceful balance so you can find rest in the evening. I do feel that stepping away from it for a few days just to kind of re-examine what it is about it, making peace with it, and going forward with maybe a little bit more specificity as when you take it. I don't feel that it's necessarily a big problem, although it's becoming one in your consciousness. You're starting
Mhm.
to look at it as almost the nemesis instead of what it's there to do, which is to help you.
Thank you.
And again, I do see it taking a little bit of time to kind of unravel this emotion, and we do know that this is just a process. But I would say as you get closer to August, the plan of action would be, let's go ahead, make peace with what it is, maybe take it into the body, maybe one day a week you don't, so you can say, well, here I am, I'm honoring also that part of my brain that said I'm a little nervous of this.
Mhm. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Really, okay, thank you, because I really just that's the goal, and it's not something that I need, but it's just take it now to me, it's almost like I'm using it to avoid my responsibilities and avoid life, and I just can't be like that.
Well,
It's not how
now,
I am.
well, and again, there's a lot of this lifetime right now that we'd like to all avoid,
Yeah.
right? I mean, really, I don't look at that as anything too drastic. It's a scary world indeed, but we do have to find balance and balance in all things. And this is one that we have to kind of take a good look at, use it respectfully for the body, and also know that we're not condemning it, we're certainly not, but we want to make sure that it's giving you what the original need was, and that comes
Yes.
through clearly.
Thank you. Okay.
You're welcome.
That makes me feel good. Okay. So I guess we're gonna kinda go into before I met you, I had had one mediumship reading, and I've spoken very highly of this gentleman, Marcel Cairo. He's still out there doing his thing, killing it. But in it, my dad's mother came through.
Interesting.
And then in our first reading, she came through again. In the reading with him, she had used an analogy. And the analogy, as I recall it, was she was essentially apologizing for her son. And the phrasing was almost about like a spider. And she was apologizing for the venom that had somehow been injected. And that was the phrasing. And I'm curious if we could get a little bit more detail on that. Or maybe I kept getting the feeling of closing remarks. Is it, with her, with one other person in spirit, not anyone close to me, but
Right. And again, I have to say that I do say in everything I hear, and sometimes the way I hear it, I am going to say it in the same expression, may take a moment to process. But I just heard her, I have asked her to come nearer and nearer. Now, that's not something that you have to hear me vocalize. I'm asking my guides, my team to say, hey, let's reach for her. Let's see if we can conduct a conversation with her. I'd like to get a little bit more closer to her. If you don't mind, just her first name, please.
Mary.
Okay, well, Mary, I know that you're here, and what you just said to me is it kind of caught me off guard. You said, "My poor little broken baby," and that I want to take and look at, because I do feel that what you're referring to is the actual child that Sterling was at one point in time.
Mm,
You know her as Sophia. Okay, that's what I just heard. So that would be correct. She's saying Sophia. She wants me to correct that. So I will, if that's okay with you. I mean, free will.
yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay, Mary, we're going to honor that request. And Broken Baby, I know that you're looking at it from the start of her existence here in the US, because I could feel that there's a lot of emotions around you, even in the astral, that tell me that this was some things were unacceptable. She's saying, she said, I don't hold any responsibility. I really don't. It wasn't my idea. I'm asking Mary to just go ahead and release some of that because she's getting a little bit emotional as they can in the astral.
Oh,
As they go back to the, again, to the heavens, however you perceive it, those points of emotions, those sharp points, they fade again. But she's in the astral to try to be of service to us, so she's going to talk in a more realistic way, a direction that you will understand. She's not going to speak in the kumbaya method, which is
no.
she just loves everybody and everybody's great. Mary holds some guilt for that because I do feel that she sees and has seen things that she felt that were oppressive, that you were the brand new package and you were there for everyone's delight, is what I'm hearing. It's not, and please understand, you're an amazing woman, you're a grown woman, you've got the satisfaction of an incredible intellect. And again, most of that you cultivated on your own. So kudos to you for that. But
Thank you.
well, it's true. But as a small child, you were held in a vulnerability with your family, and I feel like they just did not. They kind of kept you away from anyone that would have been different from them. And I feel like that they did not do their best. Let me put it that way. And Mary is saying that with me. She keeps saying it. She's like rocking my broken baby girl, my broken baby girl. Mary, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to close my eyes and get a little closer to you because I know that this trauma affects you because you keep saying that. So I'm going to ask you to release that. I'm going to ask you to see what a beautiful, beautiful Sophia you have. And although, I got emotional. Woo, I could feel it from her. Again, I don't get the impression from her that Mary, just a second, let me say this and I'll get right back to you. I don't get the impression that Mary is faking this. I don't get the impression that Mary had a hand in anything that would be considered devious.
I
I feel
think
that
she was very much long past even before I would.
which makes perfect sense because she's telling me over and over, it's out of my control, it's out of my control, it's out of my control. And I'm asking her, so give me a moment. I'm gonna close my eyes. I'm asking her to step back from this because I'd like for her to be able to visit with you in a way that's a
Mhm,
little bit more neutral.
mhm.
Mary, I'm Terri. Yes, okay. Just want to make sure we're on the same page here. Mary, step back from that. Those things are of the past. Sophia's a beautiful, beautiful woman now. You can step away from some of that. I know when you go back to the collective, you've sorted through most of this. But when you come to the in between and you see her, I know sometimes those emotions would come forward. Take a deep breath and let it release. You're safe in the astral. You'll be in the collective again in a few moments. And if you don't feel comfortable talking to me, you have free will just like Sophia does. So I know that you are supportive in the spirit world, and we don't hold you accountable, but we do respect the fact that you are sharing this kindness with us. I could feel that emotion running. She's not a bad person, Mary. You're a good soul. She's not a bad person.
Could it be true that she is a victim of the same type of relationship that would have been propagated then with my dad and his wives?
I feel that she comes from that. I hear it as unpleasantries.
Mhm. I know it.
Brutus is stepping in and referring to it as a pleasantries. He's kind of taking it and making it a little bit, it's still a mud pie, but he's putting a little bit of, a little finesse to it because he doesn't want to
Yes.
just make it look ugly.
Right.
But I do feel that that's a bit of a lineage issue.
That's what I feel as well, and that's why I think she's so upset.
Yeah, it's a
That
bit of
makes
a
total
lineage.
sense.
No.
Yeah.
And again, what I'm going to also say to you through this guided effort is that even though it's a lineage experience here, you are now of that lineage, right? Because you are brought. Now, listen to me, okay? Uh, you were brought into the fold, so you became their daughter. The wonderful thing is you cut that cord, you cleared that up. You don't
Yes.
present that. You don't
No.
perpetuate that. See, what they did was they brought, and I'm not saying this just because, I love you to pieces, but they kind of brought in an angel and screwed up all of their lineage with you. Do you see?
Mhm.
They didn't bring someone in who's going to go and perpetuate problems. I
Mhm.
know it was tumultuous growing up, but you're not that now. And I feel like that kind of, it's kind of like it withered and died on the vine, if that makes sense.
Mhm. Yes. Good.
That
I
is a
mean, very,
that
very
is a
good.
darn good thing. Um,
Yes.
and my dear, at any point, if this feels too strong, too much, you just say time out, you say enough, and we move to a different subject.
Thank you.
Even though I know you've asked this question, know that this is still free will. Okay.
Oh, thank you. Well, and
Okay.
I just wanted to say to Mary, thank you so much because it was so impactful when you came through twice before. And this, thank you so much again. Oh my gosh, I just appreciate it. It made me cry then. It made, you know what I mean? Like it's for some reason she's always shown up.
And that is very, very, very clear. I'm going to suggest to you, Mary, and I'm going to ask you then, if you don't mind, if you're okay with asking Mary to
Yeah,
step away.
absolutely.
Mary, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. I know you don't know me, but I'd like for you to do me a favor, and in turn, it'll help you. Sophia is not a broken little baby. She's a very strong young lady. If you want to replace that feeling, you're going to feel much better, and you'll have more of a truer version of her. So she's a beautiful young woman, and she's everything that she was not raised to be. So she is perfectly well. She's no longer in that arena. Okay. Thank you, Mary. She's asking me if she can leave now. She said, "Oh, this wore me out."
Thank you so much. Oh my
Thank
God,
you,
I
Mary.
really, it's so funny. You know, she showed up the first time she showed up. I didn't have anybody deceased at the time.
Hmm.
And when she showed up and said all that, I kind of didn't expect that. There was no reason for her to have made that effort. That would have been 6 years ago. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So that's so cool.
Good.
You know, I just want to get some closure from spirit about my brother. If there's anything that he can be saved from, given the fact that we do feel his trajectory has gotten dark, gone probably in alignment with the lineage. And I just want to make sure before I wash my hands of this that it's clear that if there's something I can do, what that would be, and if there's not anything I can do, that I can release myself from concerning myself with it.
Excellent. That's and I can see why that would be something important to you. That makes a lot of sense. So let's see what we can get from our spiritual team, your team working in unison with my team. Immediately what I'm hearing is there is some darkness around your brother. Now, I'm not going to throw him under the bus. He's not really here for us to be able to, dissect him, take him apart, and rebuild him, because that's free will, and I can't really do that when he's not present. But I will tell you this: I do feel that there's some kind of hodgepodge energy that he possesses, and I feel that the darkness is still reflecting in his energy. Okay. Now, free will it's again, I use that expression because it helps to build us too. It could tear us down, but it should
Mhm.
be a building block. And I do
Yes.
feel that he has had every effort to sustain a better life, to come to a better conclusion about what it is he needs. Okay?
Mhm.
But I'm feeling like there's still that torn energy, kind of like, do I go left or do I go right? Left may be the decision of the past, of the decision of the family tree, and right might be moving forward into a kind of clearing the energy. And I
Mhm.
don't feel he's going right. I feel he's going more left.
Yeah.
I feel a bit of sadness that I feel towards him, because again, once upon a time, he was no different than just a little boy. He's just a little boy, right?
1,000%.
But we all make choices, good and bad. We all make choices, and sometimes these choices give us good direction, and sometimes these choices keep us in the dark. And I feel like this young man is going to be in the dark until he's ready to commit to change. I wouldn't
Do
recommend
we
a lot of interaction right now.
No, and I mean, I won't. I mean, come August, that's just like, we're just, oh, I can't do this anymore. Within that, does he share the same reality because the reality is, I feel that sometimes choice becomes limited when things are withheld from you. That's the nature, right, of lies of any kind.
Absolutely.
But even the omission of memories could, in my world, I believe, creates a little bit of a complication in free will
Absolutely.
because of the choices that I've made and the fact that I lucked out in not making any mistakes that were so costly it was life changing. Really, I was able to
Right.
just kind of pick myself back up and keep going as much as I could. But I feel, does he suffer the same reality where he probably has large chunks of his past he cannot recall?
Oh, I feel like that's definitely prevalent in his energy. I'm feeling it now, in fact. I feel like this is a young man who probably has trouble sleeping. He probably has some pretty vicious dreams. I do feel again that he has made a choice, and even in the fragments that remain of the truth in the fiction of his upbringing, your upbringing as well, I feel that he is kind of going to the wrong side. We
Okay.
do all have a choice, and I recognize it gets harder and harder based on just how devious things played out. It's real hard when you're a child and say, for instance, let me give you an example. You say you're beaten every day, but you're told every day how much you're loved. That's a
Right.
very complicated, very twisted way of basically controlling a child because the love part is going to keep that child adhered to you, kind of a little bit of that Stockholm
Mhm.
syndrome. It's going to keep you adhered to them, but the beatings still create a whole,
They still happen, you know?
a whole devious part of within the psyche. It's
Mhm.
hard for people to come out of fragmented awareness because part of their subconscious is telling them it's okay, don't worry, it wasn't all so bad, because the subconscious is just the note taker, it's just the scribe. It's saying, I love you, I love you, I love you. Oh, they said I love you, okay, I got it, it's on the page too. They love you. And then the other page says, I beat you, I'll beat you, I'll beat you. But there's the subconscious isn't going to differentiate, it's just taking notes. So it is difficult. So I do
Mhm.
feel sorry for him, but he did make a choice, and an adult always has an opportunity to do corrective measures.
Or and, even maybe a responsibility,
Well,
one
precisely.
could make some argument.
Right.
Damn.
I mean, otherwise I'd be hiding people underneath my bed, right? I mean,
Right.
I have a cellar, so I guess it'd be under my
Hey,
bed. I don't
man,
know.
we gotta do what we gotta do. Well, so, bless our hearts. At some point, it's just like, it is what it is. He made choices. I made choices. We did what we did. And, I just wanted to make sure that I just wanted to make sure that for me to say I'm done, I could almost do that guilt free. I know that sounds kind of selfish, but that's sort of what I feel is the path forward regardless. There's just there's no way going towards that could bring anything good. I think in fact it would bring almost entirely negative.
And that's perfectly fine for you to make those choices. And I've heard this throughout my lifetime. Periodically I hear this phrase of, well, why don't you try to make amends, and you've both suffered equally. Okay, well, suffering and misery doesn't always need company. Okay, and quite honestly, if there isn't an emotion of needing that or wanting that, why cultivate it at this point? Now, I'm
No.
not saying it's about forgiveness. So for those out there that are saying, well, Terry, it should be about forgiveness. It isn't about forgiveness. It's actually not about forgiveness. She can forgive this brother, but in the same breath, she could also protect herself from having to dig so deeply that she becomes her own seam ripper. And next thing you know, she's now second guessing everything she's doing. So, in that reality, the fact that you don't wish to continue a relationship, well, it's okay.
Um, the last thing kind of about, and I did want to maybe see again, kind of a closure thing, closing remarks almost of the woman who was with me in China. And just I just wish I could understand why, the love, because I do feel it's very confusing, that connection.
It is very confusing, and I'm going a little deeper into it. So that's what you're seeing me do. I'm actually rocking right now. It's one of the benefits of sitting with someone. We don't always have the luxury of being able to see, each other. Sometimes phone readings we have to do. But I'm rocking because I can feel her rocking you. And what I found to be very curious, recognizing that there is a universal language, meaning that I could have someone who's speaking in a native tongue and I could still hear it in my native tongue. And that's
Mhm.
considered the universal language. But I hear just immediately I started hearing the song, Hush Little Baby, Don't You Cry.
Mhm.
And I'm rocking and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that song is it's such an American song.
Mhm.
It's just out of nowhere. Either I Brutus likes it as his favorite, or he's really diving deep and showing me that that was a song that this woman was singing. It just feels to me that this woman had a very strong connection to you, and there was a part of her that did not want to release you. And I feel like this woman probably that's really sweet. Okay, I'm gonna say something, we can never prove this, and you can take it and consider it as golden, or take it and consider it as whatever it is. But it's as if that was your angel kiss. It was like, your life's not gonna be so great. your early life is going to be difficult, but I love you and I'm giving you hope and I'm giving you reassurance. Even though I've got to let you go, you're going to be strong.
Mhm.
And that feels to me a little bit like the angel kiss, kind of the can't take away what's coming next because I don't have the power, the authority, or the way, the ability. But what I can do is tell you that looking forward, looking further into your life, you're gonna be just fine.
You were mentioning the Americanized song. I've come into believing that there's a and I guess maybe the closure around this just helps. I don't know why. Actually, I don't know why. But it doesn't feel that it feels that I was in a military, something in relation to the American military, and that it wasn't an orphanage. And I mean, if I'm wrong and if it was an orphanage, I would love to hear that.
I'm not seeing anyone else. See, that's what's troubling to me, and I've never really seen anyone else around you, which is curious to me. It's not like, when you're in an orphanage, there are many things you can visualize, right? I
Mhm.
would see administrative offices nearby. I would hear a lot of children
Yeah.
because I'm certain that you wouldn't have been the only person in the orphanage. And babies don't just be silent on cue. So I've never heard that, and I don't still hear that. I don't hear a background that shows me more even if it's a sterile environment of many beds, I don't hear children around you. So
Yeah.
that is a little curious to me as well.
And you had said when we were training, you had remote viewed that place one time, and I remember vividly that you had just said that you smelled ammonia or like cleaning supplies. And that always seemed strange because I thought, or if, like, so it's just
That's true.
that missing
Again,
piece
I
is
and I do
unique.
it is unique, and I do feel that they're missing pieces, and I wish that we could go so far into the psyche that we could actually redefine some of this. We could take that and put it back into the, puzzle of origin. I just don't feel that we'll be able to.
I got you. No, and that's
And
completely okay. And there's probably very good reason.
Well, and there probably is. Again, our mind does protect us from some horror. We
Yes.
have an ability to recognize it and know an overview and kind of see and sense, you know, a lot of the moving parts. But sometimes the critical matter also gets lost in way back in the psyche because your spiritual team is kind of holding the reins, going, "No, we got to keep her this way.
Stable.
Free
Yeah. Well,
will, but we got to keep her forward."
and that's I've given them that. I mean, I've said 100 times, you guys are leading what I come into contact with. I need that protection because I'm not responsible with it.
Yeah, makes sense.
As
I
I'm
totally
sure
get
you
it.
know.
It's all right.
Okay. And now that I feel like that's kind of done, the I guess the last question about the past, and then the rest of the questions I have are just about my team, my guides, and that stuff like that. But
Okay.
there's this fear that I hold because of the fact that I do not really know to what has happened, and there's a fear that, like, almost like a hypnotic fear, or almost this fear that somebody I don't know could come and present a series of anything, a sequence of something, and that would have an effect on me that would really, I would not be aware of it, that it would be adverse to me.
Yes.
And I am wondering, you know, if the answer to that is yes, that is true and that's out there, I can handle that, but it is something that I will regard carefully, if that makes sense.
It does make a lot of sense. And what I'm hearing from my team basically is that even though there is that potential, okay, there is that possibility, you are also considered a bit untouchable now because you are teeter-totter on exposure, but you don't expose. So you're kind of off limits, if that makes sense. In the quest for truth, in the quest for peace and serenity and a good life, I do feel that you are able to make all of that occur and happen. I feel like that is part of your path.
Of
I feel
what?
like to be secure and to be happy,
Oh, gotcha, gotcha, gotcha,
secure
gotcha.
path. But I also know, and I'm not saying this to make you feel paranoia or any of that, that there are people that are still alive that are aware of some of the actions of the past that really were pretty significant to your upbringing. and they still are alive and unfortunately well, probably. I'm sorry, but again, there is an opinion I have about this. But I also know that you are safeguarded. I do not see anything around you that appears to me to be problematic. You will, of course, have to deal a little bit with some of the living relatives. If you were to run into them, heaven forbid, at the latest and greatest, grocery store, you're going to have a moment of panic, probably.
Mhm.
I can't prevent that, but I can say to you that you have it within you to be able to handle that.
Good. Okay.
You didn't come this far to be scared away now. Do you see?
Do and the thoughts that I had were regarding like conditioning has to remain constant. And that's one
Yes.
aspect that they've not been able to have. So in a lot
No.
of ways, even when I thought forward on that, of like, okay, well, what happens if there are, we talked about the back rubbing, like anything to where something could just trigger a more docile nature or a more impressionable nature, whatever it is. And I'm thinking, be that as it may, at the end of the day, I always terminate down into stubbornness and I want my way. And that's what's
Good.
always beaten out. That every single time I've exited something that I now look back and realize that was very controlled. It always terminated to me. I would always reflect on it negatively, almost like, well, why do you always run away from people? Like, why do you just cold turkey so much? And I'm thinking, now I look back and it's like these were people I needed to cold turkey
Sometimes,
intuitively.
yes,
I was just
absolutely.
like, I do not need to talk to you ever in any way. And I look back and, a lot of those connections were from very early, of course. But I just think it's like I've really proven, and maybe I was allowed to get away. Maybe I don't recall it feeling that way. But more often than not, it's going to just come down to I'm really stubborn. I'm more sure of who I am now than before. And even that statement, I'm still very unsure of who I am, but more sure now than before. Someone's at my door, which is just absolutely bizarre. It's so weird. It's like there is no desire for this to go well.
It's all good. You know what? Just let them be. The
Mhm.
door's locked. You're safe. We're good. They need you. They'll leave it at the door, right?
Uh,
Or not. Then it won't
or not,
matter.
right? The last thing is with Taylor, he and I spoke and he's so gifted. I wish he would do reading. I mean, he's incredible. And I think he saw some of that night of how
Yeah.
well he was able to answer.
Yeah.
Because
And
I was like,
for
you're
those,
great at this.
he is. And, most of you know him as Stephen Taylor.
Oh, yeah.
But it's the same one. It's the same, it's the same energy. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
I know. And, it I feel for you because I know that there's some of this that is very fresh and is very near to you right now, and there's some reasons for that. For the listeners out there also, and again, I'm not going to say something that's not mine to say, but some turn of events that have made this more fresh. And so this isn't something that's just been festering. This is something that, yes, is behind the scene, but something recent has kind of tugged at your strings a little bit. And I feel like it's unfortunate that you have had to connect in any way back to the
I'm
past.
sorry. Give me 1 second. This is becoming persistent. 1 second. So sorry.
Is everything
It was my
okay?
apartment complex.
Okay. Everything's okay though.
Given the subject matter, I was going to panic until I figured out what was going on.
No, I get it because it was persistent. No, that makes perfect sense. But
I was like,
everything's
not
okay.
right now. If today's the day, no. Okay. Oh, go ahead. I'm so sorry.
So what I'm trying to convey here to the listeners is that there is something that has recently happened that has made you go into a little bit of the past and having to really kind of dig it around again. But I know that you have an inner strength that's not going to get you stuck. Does that make sense? The inner strength is not happy that you're having to you know, kind of go back to some of the memories and go back to some of the people that have been difficult, but I know that this is also situational, and at some point, you will move back from them, and you'll be away from them, and that's gonna make things back back to normal. Let's put it that
Yes.
way.
And talk about lower worlds, right? As that's where I'm going to put a lot of this very soon. That's one of the reasons I was thinking like, let's just get this managed,
Yes,
some curiosities answered, and then I am going to take it down there because I just know that I
right.
just like.
Yeah.
Okay. So way more fun questions, I think,
I love it.
thankfully.
I love it. Okay.
I was like, the first half will be hard. And then, so when we were at your house up in New York and we saw the ancestors show up for all together in that way. And that was very unique because they did pass together. Like there's a lot of extra
Mhm.
energy there.
Yes.
But I am curious, as I've sort of been seeking reinforcement, so to speak, recently, spiritually, I wondered what is one of the ways that you could request that of them, or you could even say, like, in Pocahontas, or I'm sorry, in Mulan, she's always like praying to like, hey, help me find a
Right.
man, but in this case,
Sure.
you know,
Well, oftentimes when I look at the ancestors that are on the property, now again, recognizing that I'm not looking at my parents or my grandparents,
right.
but actually more the Native American energy that's present, that I feel a very deep connection to. Knowing that they are there is powerful. Knowing that you have a team, that you have those that care about you. And sometimes we don't have any idea of really who they are. We haven't had a physical connection to them. These ancestors that we're speaking of through, again, the property, I don't know. I don't know them in the here and now. I've
Hmm.
never, had tea with them. I've never had
Right.
them over for dinner. So I know faith-based that they're there because I could feel them, I could see them, I could sense them. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with saying, just like we do to our team, saying, "Listen, this is my life. It's a complicated life. We all have complicated lives that we smooth over as best we can so that we have a pretty decent timeline, right?
Mhm.
Oh, I need you to be strong with me and strong for me sometimes. And so make these requests, say it in your mantras, say it in your meditations.
Mhm.
There are those energies in the spirit world, and whether they be ancestral or whether they be just, again, a lot of wonderful team members, your spirit team members, ask. That's why they're there. They're not just hanging out because they're bored. They're there because there's a connection. And so take that connection and make it work for you as well. That's why
Mhm.
they're I don't know if that answered your question or not,
Well,
but
it does.
okay.
In the okay, I guess I don't know the rules about. I'm always a student with you. It'll never not be this way, But it's like Taylor mentioned that there was a stone cube above and behind me, and that had probably been there or has something more to do with the lineage stuff, right? And I thought about that. I'm thinking, well, dang, I've done all right up to this point, And then I thought, but I've never really thought about. I've always utilized, guides for the work that we do. But
Yes,
it never really
absolutely.
occurred to me to say, hey, while there's a truth that there are earmarkings that probably have happened
Mhm.
that I wasn't to me and my brother, unfortunately, right? But
Right.
that doesn't really supersede a mass majority of spirit. You know what I mean? Like it just can't. And so that was kind of one thing I was thinking about is like, there is someone or something or some energies that have buffered and enabled me to be able to operate well. My assumption is it would
Absolutely.
have to be them, my guides, like, you
Yes.
know,
Absolutely.
okay, cool. Yay.
Absolutely.
That's
You're not
good.
meant to go it alone. This is a cold, cruel, earthbound life. There's a lot of uncertainties in this lifetime, and every generation will say it about their generation. There's some scary times. We've had some. We're probably going to face some more. Our
Mhm.
team, whether they're ancestors or whether they are just in the spiritual realm assigned to you, are there to help you.
Mhm.
We don't have to go it alone. And we don't have to have our life take on just a fearful base. Okay. We can be the warrior within. We have a lot of protection. We have a lot of different skill sets that follow us, that are for us in the spirit world.
Well, I've been lightly trying, I guess, to meet in the middle with my main guide and kind of suss out a name or something of that nature. And, I'm probably not as disciplined as I ought to be with things of that nature, but that is something that I'm going to be working on is sort of
Okay.
reapplying some study within the
Good.
metaphysical world because it's time.
Well, it's always time.
Hmm.
We get off track sometimes, but then it's always time to get back on track. And the beauty of it is that we don't miss a beat. We can be off track for months and get back on track in No one's sitting in the spirit world going, "Well, finally, there you are."
Right. That's a great point.
They want
Fair.
you to be they want you to be connected, but they also know that you're living a life. I mean, we got I look at it as we got a handful of crayons. We're just like a child, a toddler walking around going, "Okay, what do I do now?" Life is that way. It's meant to be a little bit just kind of confusing, a
Messy.
little messy. Yeah, a little messy.
Well, I guess for the end of this, I'd love to open the floor up, I guess, for my team, because it's as we all know, it's so much harder to hear our stuff than it is to hear for other people.
Oh, most definitely. It's very difficult to do that. First and foremost, you have an incredible team around you that support you. I can feel the love of them and for you from them, just energetically. I feel it. Just it, and again, I keep stepping away a little more and a little more because I'm also very connected to you in the earthbound world we live in. But I have to, I'm gonna just let them kind of step in for a moment. You're an
Yeah.
incredible soul. You've come here and you've had many things that were challenging. You had many things that should have broke you, but they did not break you. They actually made you stronger. They made you more willing to see the world for what it truly is and to find ways to correct it. The world could be a hostile environment. It could be a place that no one wants to be in. But you take pieces of it and you make it acceptable. You bring in the love. You help those that need your advice. You help those that need to hear what you have to say. You've come here with a bigger heart. Okay? It was not to be from some of the ancestors that have been around you not wish for you to succeed with a bigger heart. They wanted you to be like them. You chose no path that's similar to theirs. Your path is more of the love and the light. And it's not just from a spiritual realm of ways of saying. We know it's so cliche, oh, the love and the light and on and on. But the truth is here is that you set about this to make it happen. You set about the path to find the peace and the joy that was within you. You cultivated it. You sometimes didn't believe it was there, but you knew if you just had to keep going on. Okay. And look where you are now. How many lives that you changed. Sometimes you have to say it like it is and say, hey, get off your butt and get it done. Stop whining. But most of it is done in a loving way. And most of it is done in a way that people know that you're there to help them. You're not there to judge them.
Hmm.
And you have a credible timeline ahead of you. You do have some rough patches because you're still in a human existence, okay? I wish I could say your timeline is completely clear and
No,
it's smooth sailing and there's lollipops and chocolate bars along the way, okay? Now there will be, don't worry, we've got that, and we got a little ice cream on the
that's
side.
right. I was just about to say.
I know, I can feel it. That's why I had to throw that in there right now. I'm like, okay, team, you know that she likes ice cream.
I do.
I love it. But keep moving forward. Keep moving forward with what you know to be. The past is the past, and the past can be very nasty. We've both come from situations that we wouldn't want anyone to have to endure. We come from situations that gave us great compassion. And see, that's the difference. It's the great compassion that propels us. We were raised to be the opposite, to hate, take advantage of, and we did not cultivate those emotions. We
Hmm.
cultivated compassion, and that's why we're doing what we do. And that's why we do it not only fairly well, but we do it fairly regularly too, okay?
Yeah,
So
that's so true.
it is true. Be kind to yourself because at the end of the day, when you close your eyes to go to sleep and go off in those dreams, you are the perfect package. And that is something you need to know.
Help me. Can you say that again? But what do you mean?
The
Like when
perfect
I?
package. When you go to sleep and there's nobody there, there's no
Oh, I see. Oh,
distractions,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
there's
yeah.
no phone calls, there's no computers, there's no video games on the cell phone. When you close your eyes, you are the perfect package. And that is just simply the way it is. And I know people are going, well, none of us are perfect. Well, of course we're not. But we do come to a level where we are as perfect as we can be for the moment. And
Right,
that
right.
is most definitely enough.
Gosh. Okay. Cool. No, that's I guess this question was bouncing around my head this morning and last night. Because everyone asked it of me. And we always get asked, what's life's purpose? Am I living in my purpose? And I always say to people when they ask me that we have multiple ones, typically 3 or 4, and typically they're not conjoined.
That
They're
makes
usually
perfect
separate.
sense.
And then you're just kind of fulfilling that purpose that you signed up for, and this one over here and over here.
Right.
And I feel like I know what my purpose is. I feel like since
Mhm,
March, I really locked in.
mhm.
Is there anything that I just need to really be mindful of over the next year as far as kind of I know my general failings, but sometimes I can't see myself as I should.
More than anything for you is to continue to believe in yourself, to believe that you not only can do these things, but you're worthy of these things. I do feel that you'll make a lot of headway. My guides are telling me to tell you that this is going to be a good year. It's going to be a busy year. Looking from this moment forward to the 2026. We are, yeah, 2025. I had to
No,
step back
please.
in our time. Go ahead. Life's little distractions. Isn't it just funny? That's really amazing. That's interesting. But anyway, the team is simply telling me that, yes, you're going to be busy. There's a lot of work to be done. And you're going to doubt yourself. You're going to go, is it A or B? And you're going to choose one, and then you're going to take a couple days to really think, was that the right choice? And the fact of the matter is, to make the choices is the right choice. We can't make mistakes if we're not doing something. So we're going to go head first in a good way, positive way. Okay. You're not going to land on it. You're just going to go forward with it. And I do feel that you will have some stops along the way for a little break, because I feel you need that. Sometimes it's okay just to be and not to have to create or develop or worry about anything. But I feel that this is a year of discovery and change for you. It affects a personal life, it affects a career-based life, and it basically affects you completely. Affects you in the sense that this change feels positive. Okay? It doesn't mean you're not going to have, the occasional cold, or you have to stop and pour gas in the rain, into your car. You still have a human existence, but you have worked through a lot of the trials and the tribulations that have plagued you. And we know that they're not going to continue to plague you, because they don't belong to you anymore. Give them to the universe. Let the universe sort it out.
Thank you so much. I'm so appreciative. Like, I love spirit. I love what we do.
Spirit.
I'm so grateful. It's been everything for me to really be able to give so much of this up to spirit. So much, because it
It's
just is
important.
not possible.
It's
And
truly important.
it's a faith system that is like, to truly remove something off of your plate in faith is like, for people with control issues, people like us, me, it's like, that's challenging, and it would be impossible if there wasn't the work that I do, the work that we do. And it's like, there's so much evidence for it. I can only imagine trying
Yes.
to deal with these particular demons in a more atheistic standpoint, or maybe even more just a universally unfaithful relationship with spirit. It's like,
Right.
I'm so grateful. And it's the only reason I'm still whole as a functional person right now. And it hasn't really been that hard, which shocked me, because I thought that, I gave myself a month to be almost chaotic and weird. And then it wasn't even tempting to use all the time. Like, it just really wasn't.
That's a
I
good
went,
thing, right?
yeah, it was like I went crazy for 3 days trying to sort it all out. And once it terminates to impossibility and irrelevancy, why would I use my month to work on that? Like, I
Yeah,
couldn't
who
do
would
it.
want to waste a whole month doing all that nonsense, right?
No.
And
And
I'm not
I thought
saying
that was,
nonsense because it's something you're dealing with. I'm saying it's their nonsense.
well, yeah,
Meaning,
but it really would be nonsense for me to make that choice to be that
right,
miserable and broken down, because it's always available.
right.
But I
It is
just don't,
always available.
that's not the plan, man. I gotta keep moving.
Yep.
So, anywho,
That's exactly right. They're knocking at your door again, aren't they?
no, I'm gonna go deal with this. I love you. I love you. I love
I
you. I'm
love you.
so
I love
sorry.
you.
I'm gonna pause this real fast and just tell them to 1 second, please.
Okay, no worries. Is everything okay?
I just don't understand. It's a different lady, but more aggressive about the stuff that I just said I was gonna take care of. I don't know. How strange. And she felt very different.
Well, I felt it too. I actually felt problematic. I mean, I was like, I don't like this. Okay.
Is it because there's no desire for me to put this away?
That's what it feels like. Isn't that wild? But
Yeah.
it did. I felt this last time, it felt problematic. Like I didn't like why or what she was about. The other
Yeah.
one felt more, okay, you're annoying, but it is what it is. This one felt absolutely unnecessary. Wow. I'll tell you, life is exciting, right?
Well, I've made really strong stances in spirit.
Good.
You know what I mean? And I'm sure I just, and this is one of the reasons I wanted to record this and post it is because this is my final statement about it all. Like, I don't wish to revisit it, but there is no doubt in my mind that I do stand for the light, that I'm
You
protected by
do.
it, that I have my guides with me,
Yes, you
that
do.
no amount of spiritual warfare from the lineage could really do any much more. They're just not able
They're
to.
not
Like, it's
able
just
to.
not a thing.
Nope.
So I really do sit in that faith.
Yeah. And that's exactly right. Any swords they may have carried in the past that you felt, as treachery, they just see those swords as straws.
Yeah.
Okay?
Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
am so happy and I feel good. I'm glad that that was giving me anxiety again, but now that's not even a thing that I feel good. Yay.
Good.
All
All
right. Well,
right. Oh
thank you
my
so
gosh,
much.
we've done it.
We have done it.
We have. It's all
And then
good.
we'll be returned to scheduled uh lectures, I guess, classes. But it's been
Wow.
so fun, these
It
3
has been
episodes.
fun. It's been a lot of fun. Again, we keep it real. That's what we're about. And, sometimes we have to get into the nitty gritty. Sometimes the messages are a little, you know, kind of scary or a little bit off putting to some. But, life gets a little messy.
It does.
It does.
Inevitably.
It does.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you to the
Thank
guides.
you. Thank you.
And
Thank you, guides. I appreciate
my
each and every
gosh,
one of you.
for
Oh
real.
my gosh.
I don't know
Yes,
what we'd do
indeed.
without them.
I
But I'll
don't
let
know
you have your
either.
day and I'll see you next week. And thank you so
Yes.
much. Oh my
You're
gosh.
welcome. Have a wonderful
Yay.
day. Make the most it could be out of this day.
Thank you. You too. I
Thank
appreciate you
you.
so much.